It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Jamie is a leading Tampa Bay real estate agent and featured on the Wall Street Journal's list of top 100 real estate agents in the nation. Jamie invites you to list your home with him today and learn more at tampabayradio.com. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Meloni.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to hour number 2 of That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. If you're finding us on the air for the first time, we start every weekday morning at 7 o'clock live here in studio. Every show is live with a few exceptions, those being holidays and sick days, which I don't think I've ever really taken a sick day. I think if I did,
you'll find another host.
No, I'll find another host. So we've come close to about 500 episodes on this program, doing them Monday through Friday, live stream available over on tampabayradio.com. And also we put the audio up on iTunes as a podcast, as well as SoundCloud. So it's all over the internet, all over social media. Many people very familiar with this program, as it offers an alternative to all the news, sports, and political talk that's on the airwaves. Too much negativity, so I like to start the day with some positive energy about what our leaders in our community are doing, our entrepreneurs, our political and community leaders talking about the community. So a good show planned for you on tap for this second hour. On the 8:30 segment, we'll be talking to Brian Thornton, president of ISG, an insurance premium audit firm. So we'll be talking all about that at 8:30. Up first, though, I have Larry Harbolt, who is an expert real estate investor and returning guest to the program. And he was also member 001 of the Tampa Bay Business Owners, Chris's original member going back some 8 or 9 years ago. Larry, welcome to the program today.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
And Larry, I remember watching you on Public Access when Chris was doing his Millionaire Mindset show. And when I joined TBBO a couple of years ago, I said, hey, I remember you from that television show. Do you remember those days?
Those were fun days,
yes.
Believe me.
Yeah, and I learned a lot. That was back when I was starting to get interested in real estate, and I went on to become a real estate agent specializing in bank-owned properties. But I remember I learned a lot from watching you on Millionaire Mindset.
Thank you.
Yes, and so how did you get involved with Chris in Millionaire Mindset? Tell me just a little bit about how you and Chris got involved with one another.
Chris was doing his show, and he had some of my friends on. And I was putting on an event in Clearwater where I had multiple real estate speakers. And I said to him, when are you going to put me on your show? Mm-hmm. And he said, well, I'll get you on. And I said, BS, And for some reason that clicked with him, and we've been best friends ever since.
Right.
And he's kind of like my son.
Yeah, and
I really love the kid. He's a great guy.
And Chris and I are partners with TBBO, but when Millionaire Mindset disbanded, he got all of his guests together in a room and gave his vision for TBBO, and Larry stepped up and became member 001 as Chris tells the story. Now, Larry, you are an expert real estate investor using non-traditional techniques. I mean, everybody out there knows the traditional techniques of, buying and flipping or getting a loan, things of that nature, but you're a specialist in non-traditional techniques. Now, before I go there, you were not a lifelong real estate investor. You came from the School of Hard Knocks, blue-collar job. Tell me about your background before you got into real estate.
Well, I was born into a dairy farm family, and I did that until my late teens. And at that time, I went to work as a plumber apprentice in Michigan, and that turned into a 30-year career. I went from being a plumber to being a union pipe fitter and welder.
Right.
I spent 15 or more years welding in nuclear powerhouses across the country. So I did that, but I did the real estate from the late 70s and the construction together.
Okay, and you had 6 children that you raised, and right. So you had to go to work to support the children. But what is it about real estate that drew you in? Tell me about that.
Well, coming from a farm family, the land is everything. That is the mother of the family. That's what holds the family together. Excuse me. And my dad always told me that the rich people, the movie stars, they bought land.
Right.
And I remember him saying that Bob Hope and Bing Crosby owned all of the orange groves in California and Florida. Mm-hmm. That's what they did with their money. So I knew it was a good thing to do, or they wouldn't be doing it.
So was your first deal just focused on just buying some land around the town?
No, my first deal was pretty much within the family, but it was it was funded other than.
Now, were you using
exchanging
seller
money.
financing techniques all the way back to your first deal?
Absolutely, because I had no money.
You had no money.
I just had a bunch of kids.
And that's what I want to make this clear. That's what sets Larry apart from all the other real estate investors that I know, and I'm sure there's some others that use these techniques. They probably have been taught by Larry these techniques. But you come to the table with no money,
no money and no credit,
no money and no credit, and
right.
you get these deals done. You're the king of seller financing. And so, how did you? Huh?
I mean, Larry's kind of an intimidated guy. I mean, what do you do? Like strong arm him into it?
He makes them an offer they cannot refuse, right?
Absolutely. No, when you have no money and you have no credit, you have to be creative. And so my wife and I, we decided we were going to do this business, but we had to be creative if we were ever going to do anything.
So do you remember that first deal and the creativity that you used?
Absolutely.
Tell me about this first deal then, because this is something that even the investors that I see every single day don't really understand how to do.
Well, the first deal was a local bank in a town next to where I lived. They had properties they'd taken back in foreclosure. And so I went to see the president of the bank, Mr. Petty, and he brought out a stack of properties they'd taken back in foreclosure, the binders for those. And the first one he showed me was a 3-unit building. And I asked him what he wanted for the property, and he said $60,000. I said, oh, okay. How much does it need for repairs? And he said, well, we just got a bid from a local contractor. It needs $8,000. Now, you have to remember, this was back in the 1970s. So that was still a lot of money back then.
Okay.
And he said, are you interested in the building? And I said, well, I am, but I've just got one problem. And he said, what's that? And I said, I'm just 60,000 shy of having enough to buy the property.
Right.
And he said, well, that's not a problem. Oh, okay. I said, well, I'm also 8,000 shy of having enough to fix the property.
And that's when the Tommy guns came out.
And he said, that's not a problem either. And I said, it's not? He said, no, here's what we'll do. We will sell you that property on a land contract. And that's when you pay the seller every month instead of going and getting a bank loan. Even though that was a bank, they would sell me those properties where I paid them every month.
Okay.
And he said, we'll also escrow $8,000 for the repairs, but you don't get the money until you bring in receipts and photographs of the work being done.
Okay.
So actually, that was a truly nothing down deal. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I got started.
Was that just the way the market was at that time? They just didn't have enough buyers and they're desperate for getting buyers? Or was it just, just said that these are my terms and this is what I need to have done?
This is how they got rid of their foreclosure properties. Because you have to understand, by me signing that land contract, I took a non-performing asset off of their books and made it a performing asset before I ever made a payment. Mm-hmm. So they were happy to get those off their books. And we bought numerous properties that way from the local banks in the beginning, which it didn't take money, it didn't take credit, it just took the ability. And having also been a licensed contractor, I had that working in my favor, so they were more than willing to take those off their books and get them performing.
And what was the results of this first deal? What did it become? What did it turn for you? And when did you move on to deal number 2?
Well, that's back when I thought I had to do my own work, back when I was young and dumb. Mm-hmm. And so it took me a year of making payments on an empty house before I got the first unit rented.
Okay.
Having been a contractor, you have to do the work yourself because nobody does it as fast or as good. So I learned, that's one of the ugly seminars I took that I wish I never had, but it's a learning curve. You buy these properties, you hire people to finish them up, get them done quickly, get tenants in them, get them paying for themselves and giving you a cash flow,
right,
or getting them ready to sell. So it took me a few years, but I finally got off from that kick where I had to do everything myself. And that's when you start to make money.
Right. Now, you're also a speaker, an educator, a trainer. If you go to LarryHarbolt.com, you can see a lot more about him. At what point did you get comfortable enough to begin teaching these techniques to the marketplace?
In 2003, one of my friends, I run a weekly meeting,
right,
that I've been doing now 17 years. And one of my friends at the meeting said, Larry, why don't you do a class? Just do a little Saturday class and help us because we don't understand the mechanics of how this works. And I did that first class, and from then until now, I've written 26 real estate courses on how to do this business without money, without credit, how to rehab effectively, and that's a journey I've really enjoyed. I enjoy the teaching because I'm helping other people so they don't go through all the mistakes that I made, that my wife and kids had to pay for.
And I see you also have just recently launched your own podcast.
Yes, I have.
You know, as a result of all the talk about podcasting and the people that you're around doing the podcast. You've done, one episode so far, right?
I've got two on my website.
Two on the site.
We've recorded a couple more. We're going to be doing them on a weekly basis. And it's going to be my thoughts on real estate and effective ways to negotiate, buy, and profit from real estate that others don't teach.
So people can literally have zero money and zero credit and come to one of your meetings and begin to learn these techniques. And you do these meetings. Let's talk about the meetings that you do. I think it's the REIA meetings, or you call them?
Well, I don't. It's just a meeting for me.
Okay, just the general meetings.
Yep.
Tell me about these meetings. And you've been doing these for some time now.
17 years.
17 years.
Every Monday night, including holidays. So what that is, that's a networking meeting where people can bring properties they don't want. People can come who are looking for properties. Hopefully, they can put each other together, a deal, and everybody wins. I don't get anything out of that, those deals that transpire there. It's just a place where investors can get together, do business, make money.
And this is every Monday. And is there a
Every
charge
Monday.
to come
No
to the meeting?
charge.
No charge to come to this meeting. Where's it at?
It's at the Hibachi Buffet on 49th Street and Park Boulevard at 7 o'clock every Monday night. Now, the restaurant wants you to either buy a meal or a drink. That's the only charge. And the food is good there.
No, you can take advantage of these non-traditional techniques. Have you ever bought a real estate piece of property using a traditional, and at least an investment property using traditional techniques? So, going out and getting the 30-year mortgage or whatnot?
In 1984, I bought a house. My wife and I bought a house for us to live in. And we got an institutional loan.
Right. But that was your homestead. But
That was my home.
But I know you kind of look down upon investors that, get mortgages and use these, the traditional techniques with regard to investments and stuff, because you always come to the table with, I ain't got no money, right?
Well, yeah, I don't necessarily look down. I just feel bad that they've never been taught any other way of doing it
Right.
than what everyone else does. And see, I think that when the people are looking in the same spot for properties, you're going to get the leftovers, because anything that is possibly a good deal is going to be scoffed up
Right.
by those that can. So there's got to be alternative ways to buy properties, regardless. Even if you're bankrupt, you can still buy real estate as long as you can get to the seller.
Right.
And
That's the key, getting to the seller.
negotiate a deal that's good for both of you.
Right. I want to talk a little bit more with Larry when we come back from the break about what opportunities he sees in today's market. I don't want him to reveal any of his techniques and secrets. That's what you got to learn at LarryHarbolt.com, or stop by one of his meetings there over at the Hibachi restaurant every Monday at 7 p.m. But I've listened to him talk before and heard some of these techniques. They are quite creative. So if you're a real estate investor, definitely check out Larry Harbolt and learn more at LarryHarbolt.com. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Did you know the biggest challenge business leaders face today is creating an engaged and productive workforce culture? Bill Meyer Ham Consulting wants to help you solve this challenge. They will help you transform your workforce culture to produce amazing business results. Call Bill Meyer Ham Consulting at 941-201-4650 today, or visit BillMeyerHam.com. That's BillMeyerHam.com. Have a conversation. What's up, business rock stars? Are you ready to bring out the CEO in you? Join Julianne Nichols, CEO of Focus on You Strategy, every other Friday on That Business Show. She'll be talking with other chief entrepreneurial officers about how they grew their businesses. Remember, you could join the conversation at Focus on You Strategies Focus Fridays Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. That's Facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. Be the CEO of you. How many times have you said to yourself, I wish there was an app for that? Stop wishing and start making the world better. Turn your brilliant idea into a profitable business by using Popcorn apps. Their affordable app design will help get your blue sky idea or proven business to the next level at a fraction of the cost of other developers. They will help you get through all the steps needed to make your thoughts become live. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn, or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
I knew Mom wanted to stay at home. It's the center of her family, her life. But helping Mom stay in her home while managing mine was just too much. Honestly, it wasn't just about me. Mom didn't want me to be her caretaker. She wanted me to be her daughter. I felt so alone until I found out about Home Instead Senior Care. When we met the people at Home Instead, we just knew they were different. The experience was personal, and most importantly, for Mom and me, I get to be her daughter again.
Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
Who doesn't have a smartphone these days? And of course, there's an app for everything. Well, almost everything. That's why the folks at Popcorn Apps started developing mobile applications. They saw people like you with genius ideas, unable to make those thoughts a reality. They develop applications for tens of thousands of dollars less than you'll find anywhere else, and will turn your idea into a reality in a matter of just a few months. Think you're not ready? Think again. They are your one-stop shop for mobile application development. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn, or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
At Vein 911, we will help you feel great again. Do you have restless legs, night leg cramps, or ankle swelling? Restless legs, cramping, swelling, and tired heavy legs are often symptoms of hidden vein disease. You do not have to have visible bulging veins to have the symptoms of vein disease. The vein care specialists at Vein 911 are uniquely qualified to evaluate and treat your veins. Are you unhappy with your previous vein treatment? Vein 911 succeeds where others fail. Call Vein 911 today at 855-VEIN-911. That's 855-834-6911 to book your free consultation. Vein 911. We will help you feel great again.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
From the RP Funding Traffic Network.
Slow traffic on northbound I-75 from the Selman Expressway to past State Road 60, southbound 75 from just south of Bruceview Downs to past Fowler. Crash in Pinellas Park, 49th Street and Park Boulevard. One in Pasco County on southbound US 19 at Ridge, and northbound US 19 still closed at State Road 52 due to a crash investigation there. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson Udrich. Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by St. Pete Clearwater International Airport. Pi makes people happy with low-cost fares, non-stop flights, and exciting new destinations. Depart to 56 cities, now including Austin, Texas, Port Smith, New Hampshire, and Trenton, New Jersey. St. Pete Clearwater International Airport. Going away? Check PIE today.
Today, a mix of sun and clouds with a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, high 90. Tonight, partly cloudy and muggy, low 77. Tomorrow, a 40% rain chance, high 89.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
And we're back to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Talking to Larry Harbolt, expert real estate investor and teacher and educator. Learn more over at LarryHarbolt.com. So, Larry, the last several years in real estate's been tough on the average person. I mean, have you seen a lot of opportunities over these last 8 years where a lot of people have been seeing just such turmoil in the marketplace?
I've seen great opportunity, and I know a lot of other investors who don't do what everyone else does is seeing great opportunity. Mm-hmm. And that's because, like I said earlier, if you put all the properties that are for sale in a bowl, like the MLS,
Right.
everyone's looking in the same spot. But if you do things differently, like we send letters to property owners that own their property that they don't live in, and they own them free and clear. That's a market no one else is looking at.
Right.
So I can find good deals when everyone else is struggling to feed out of that bowl.
Right. And when a seller owns the property free and clear, obviously it'll be more negotiable. They don't have
That's
a certain
right.
mortgage that they've got to make. And so, I mean, but that's going to be a challenge finding people that own the property free and clear. I mean, that's just not easy to come across information. I mean, it's
My
easy
wife and I just got a list of 3,000,
Yeah.
3,002 actual names in a county surrounding Pinellas.
And so it's easy to find owners of the property, but necessarily if they have mortgage, you'd have to cross-reference them. So, but I'm sure you have sources to find and then cross.
We buy name lists of people that have non-owner occupied free and clear properties.
And so that's where you're getting a lot of your deals from. Then sending these
Sure.
letters, just traditional mail, and then you're getting in front of these homeowners and these investors who are outside of the area. And so that's like a big part of where you're getting a lot of your deals from. Then,
Well, sure. My wife sends letters, and she's been doing that for years. She's a key part of my business. But what we do is we send those letters. Anybody that's interested in selling, you have to understand, if they live in a property, they have no taxing consequences.
right?
Up to $500,000 if it's a couple that lives there. If they don't live in it, they've got heavy tax consequences. So maybe if these people have owned the properties for 30 years, they're paid for, maybe there's a chance that they're looking for a retirement program. So instead of paying all the taxes, if they got all their money up front and then trying to put the money away in CDs, 5-year CDs that are paying 0.8% interest, I can do much better. I can pay them over 30 years. I can give them 4, 5, 6% if they'll give me a payment that I can make every month and still cash flow the property if I'm going to hold it long term. So it's always a better deal when both parties win. And that's why I go after the non-owner occupied free and clears, because they're going to get killed in taxes if they demand all their money up front. And usually many of those people that have owned for 30 years are looking for some type of a retirement program.
Good information.
I think I understand better why Larry thanked me on behalf of my landlord paying for his retirement now.
That's right.
Understand a little bit better. During the break, Larry was sitting here educating me as a tenant on how to protect myself, against my landlord. Like when you move into a place and things are supposed to be fixed and stuff like that. Do you coach, tenants or potential buyers on things like that, as well as people that are looking to buy or to sell?
To invest, yeah.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. What I just explained to you was documentation. If you have a landlord that is not doing what they're supposed to do, you have every right to have done what they told you would be done. But documentation, if you ever have to go to court, any good landlord is going to take care of the things. But the ones that are unscrupulous, you want documentation in case they ever haul you into court. You have written documentation or emails you can retrieve to show you've done exactly what you were supposed to and they didn't do what they were supposed to. So it's, integrity is an important thing on both sides.
Got about a minute left. Larry Harbolt, expert real estate investor, 30-some years in real estate investing. Roughly, I mean, how many deals have you put together, in your real estate career?
Oh, a lot of them. I don't know.
You lost count of them, but you've done a lot.
I've been involved in a few hundred, yes.
Well, Larry Harbolt can definitely help you out with some non-traditional investing techniques, seller financing, finding those free and clear properties. Just got to reach out to him and talk to him about one of his courses or his instruction at larryharbolt.com. So, Larry, thank you so much for being in studio.
Thanks, and everybody go to my website and listen to my podcast.
Awesome. larryharbolt.com. Coming back from the break, we'll be talking to Brian Thornton, president of ISG. On That Business Show, Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, I'm Kelly Ham from Dillmeyer Ham Consulting. Did you know that one of the biggest challenges that leaders face is getting their employees to be engaged, motivated, and producing amazing business results? At Dillmeyer Ham Consulting, we'll help you transform your workforce culture from one that might be underperforming, maybe mediocre, to achieving amazing business results. You see, we realize that your workforce culture is equally as important as your business plan and your business strategy. The two must be aligned in order for you to reach your desired business and financial goals.
Carol,
hey Jim.
I just got this plan that could really help with our process here.
Okay, why don't you just have a seat and let's go over it.
Let us help you transform your workforce culture by leveraging your most important assets, your people. I want to know what's going on in your organization. Let us help you transform your workforce culture. Let's have a conversation.
I feel guilty that I can't always be there when Mom feels stuck at home. She was always there for us. But now she can't get out, and I'm not always available to take her places. Someone else needs to help her get around. Then I learned about Home Instead. Now Mom can do what she enjoys because her personal caregiver is there, and I can just be a daughter again.
Are you struggling to care for your loved one? We can help. Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
Traffic tip line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by the Center for Disease Control. Zika is being spread by mosquitoes. Protect yourself, your community, pregnant women, and our next generation. There are actions you can take. Go to cdc.gov/prevent Zika to learn more. Together we can fight Zika and protect our babies.
1250 winds, weather center forecast. Today's high, once again, the low 90s. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds. Look for those afternoon showers and storms to be scattered about. The low tonight in the mid-70s, 90 for high tomorrow, rain chance up to 50%. Impact Radio 1250 winds, WHNZ.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
And we're back to That Business Show. Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Shows on 7 to 9, Monday through Friday, and a live stream available over at TampaBayRadio.com. Also want to extend an invite to all the business owners out there to get involved with us in the Tampa Bay Business Owners, a business network of around 300 members and been around for some 8 years. And you can learn more about that over at TBBO.org as well as TampaBayRadio.com. And it's a great business network to help you grow and diversify and learn from other business owners in the community. Many benefits included in the base membership, including radio show time here on That Business Show. Time to bring in my next guest here for the program, Brian Thornton, president of ISG. Learn more about this throughout the discussion over at isg-se.com. isg-se.com. Brian, welcome to the program today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, in ISG, Insurance Services Group is what that stands for. It's an insurance premium audit firm. So, tell us about what a premium audit is and what this entails.
Well, there's lots of different types of insurance people are familiar with. You've got auto, flood, homeowners, health insurance, death certainly. But we specialize in working business to business with insurance carriers and managing general agencies, and we conduct premium audits on variable exposure-based policies, primarily workers' comp and general liability. Now, these policies are written based on an estimate of what the policyholder thinks their exposure is going to be for the policy period, and we actually go in after the policy has expired, and we audit the business records to determine what the actual exposures were versus what was estimated.
Okay, so you're the reason I get that workers' comp notice every year. It says it's time for your annual audit and the forms. And fortunately, I have a pretty simple business model, at least when it comes to workers' comp. It's like, I got a couple people that sit behind a computer, and they just pretty much type on the computer all day, so I don't have any real heavy lifting going on. But that's kind of what you're behind that, right?
Correct. So underwriters at the carrier level use a variety of tools to help them make decisions on the policies that they write. Premium audit is one of those tools, and we do play an important and probably an underappreciated role in helping to control the cost of insurance by making sure that the right amount of exposure is being applied to the right classification, like you mentioned, and that reported claims activity aligns with the classification where that exposure's been reported. So, along the lines of what you mentioned, the workers' comp policies are generally payroll-based audits. So we're looking at payroll journals, individual earnings records, state and federal unemployment returns, maybe a general ledger to see if there's any kind of non-employee labor that needs to be accounted for, things like that. So we classify the employees based on what the overall business does, and then within that business, what the individual employees are doing. So, we put roofers in one category, clerical people in another category, salesmen in a third category, and so on.
Okay, yeah, I did notice that anytime I get the audit, they want to know they want these payroll reports, and so workers' comp premiums are derived basically due in large part to the hours that your staff is working, in addition to the classification that the staff member is in. Correct?
Right. Correct.
So are you the guy that tells, somebody gets hurt on the job site? Or are you the one that's walk it off?
No, we're the guys that make sure that the people that have those claims have been reported in the appropriate classification, so that
he's the one who's making sure the premium that you or I are paying as a business owner is an accurate premium based upon the risk that the insurer is undertaking. Correct. All right. So that's what the audit is. So they're auditing these insurance premiums.
Do you ever mess with somebody and just be like, dude, walk it off? That's for fun.
We haven't had that opportunity.
He's not. That's a whole nother. That's the person who doing that is the employer.
Look,
the employer doesn't want that.
I'll just let you know, man. I'll put myself out there and be the idiot to make you smile, so Rick can get a picture, and that's the whole reason why I asked anything at all.
The employer is going to be the ones who walks it off because they don't want the workers' comp claim going against them. And so he's the one who's making sure that the employer is paying the proper premium based upon the risk that the insurer is assessing. There's that.
So the employer asks you if he can tell them to walk it off, basically.
Yes, you can say that.
Absolutely.
Although they're a much bigger firm than the traditional shop here. So how did ISG get started, and what are some of the things that sets ISG apart from your competitors?
Well, so I started an insurance services group in 2007 after spending 15 years with another local premium audit firm. My son Travis was born in January of that year. It was one of those real late night Jerry Maguire moments, lack of sleep and thinking probably a little bit more deeply into things than I normally would have. But you realized I was really comfortable where I was, and I really liked the people that I worked with, but something was missing. And I've had that entrepreneurial itch from a very, very young age, and after 15 years there, kind of my window of opportunity I felt like was closing to go out on my own. I had job security, but that growing family, and when you're comfortable, you tend to stay comfortable. And so I did at that point kind of make the decision to go out on my own and build my business while helping my wife on the business side with her pediatric speech therapy practice.
Now, this is definitely a niche business. I mean, I didn't know this existed, and how many people even know this marketplace is out there?
Really, the people that know about it are the auditors and the people that are being audited.
Right.
I mean, it's really, I think my wife would tell you she still struggles to explain to people what we do. It's just not a really common thing for people to run across. So it is very niche. Fortunately for us, in Florida on the workers' comp side, it is required by law in most cases. So it's kind of a built-in safety net there, but very, very niche. But I did, I had a vision for what I wanted the company to stand for. And one thing that was really important to me was to perform at a really high level. And I knew that if I could build a business that focused on delivering a truly high quality product, we'd really be offering something that was pretty unique to our segment of the industry. And you know from the real estate side, I mean, your brand is everything, right? And that's really what I wanted my brand to represent. I think the main thing that allows us to continue to grow at the level we have, and one of the things that sets us apart, is that the majority of our field auditors and all of our quality review staff, the folks that are kind of looking to make sure that the audits are accurate as they're coming through, they come from an insurance carrier background. So what that means is they've had some investment made in them. They've had the formalized training, they've had the ongoing education, and that group really is kind of the cornerstone of what my business is built on. So our slowest growth year in the 9 years to date we've had was at 22%. And we've continued to grow on the foundation of doing things the right way, treating people the right way, and that's kind of helped us expand into Georgia and North and South Carolina as well.
Wow, incredible. Now, do you come from a background, your education in risk management, or is that just what you always were attracted to? Tell me a little about that.
I don't really know what I had in I had always kind of seen myself as an accountant or CPA when I was younger, and so I had kind of an affinity for numbers. And this was one of those things that through relationships, I found myself working for this other firm, and started making copies and filing and data entry, and kind of worked my way up through that 15-year period, and it kind of became what I knew.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I stuck with.
So what is the importance of a premium audit, both for the insurance carrier providing the coverage and for the policyholder that is being audited?
Well, first of all, like I mentioned, the audit is a condition and a legal requirement of the policy. Primarily due to the fact that the types of policies we are auditing are more often than not written based on an estimate of exposure. So we serve one primary and critically important purpose, and that's to get the premium right. Mm-hmm. I know the general consensus amongst policyholders, I think, if you were to take a poll, is that our function is to come in there and generate a ton of additional premium and squeeze them out of every last penny they have. And the reality is we're simply trying to get it right. Not a penny more, not a penny less. So, these policies are written with the insured saying, hey, this is what I think my exposure is going to be, but I'm not entirely sure. And the carrier really doesn't have any way to know. Mm-hmm. So our role is to kind of sort that out. Really, we serve as a protection for both sides. Yes, the insurance carriers hire us. In some cases, they see the value in what we do. In other cases, it's a statutory requirement, so they have to do it. But one, we make sure that the insurance carrier has the proper classifications on the policy and is not charging premium on deductible items. And two, we're making sure, for the carrier's side, that the amount of premium charged is representative of the possible exposure the insurance company has as a result of insuring that particular business. So sometimes that means we're reclassifying employees to a new code that better represents their job function. Sometimes it means including subcontractors in the premium base if those subs don't carry their own insurance. And with over 600 workers' comp classifications and over 1,100 general liability classifications, we find ourselves making either code changes or recommendations for code changes in the neighborhood of 30% of the time. So that's kind of one of the things that really helps to stabilize the fact that there's a need for what we do, in that 3 out of every 10 policies we touch, there's a potential classification issue. And that, to me, that's a high number. Mm-hmm. So how do you source new business? I mean, you're not dealing with the general consumer on the street every day. You got to get in the doors of these big insurance companies and find the decision makers. I mean, that's got to be a big challenge in your business. It is. And, being business to business, we do, as big as the insurance industry as a whole is, our segment of it is very, very small. So, we've been very, very fortunate in that, going back to the discussion on your brand and building it based on how you do your business, we've been very fortunate to have a lot of word of mouth referrals, and we have done things the right way, and I think that's really the way we do it. I have not outwardly made a sales call in 4 years.
But the good thing, though, is when you land a sale, it's huge, because that's a lot of premiums, associated with an insurance company.
Absolutely,
so that's the advantage. You just got to find those decision makers, which is the challenge. But once you find them, the return is huge, given that you close the deal.
Absolutely.
The word audit has traditionally, a negative connotation associated with it. Is there anything a policyholder can do when an audit has been requested to better ensure that the audit experience is a positive one?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I don't know that there's a whole lot of people out there that look forward to an audit, right?
Right.
Like, that's just not something that people do. It'd be nice if they called it like an annual policy review or something like that, so it didn't quite carry that negative connotation, but it does definitely create some anxiety at times. I think some of that comes from people knowing that once they're done with the audit, they're going to owe an additional premium because they've had a good year, and that's kind of how that works. And not necessarily as a result of the audit experience itself. And look, we're not an IRS style of audit. We are doing these annually or biannually, so they're much more common than what people traditionally think of as an audit. They're very routine. We're looking at, like we talked about, payroll records. We're looking at a general ledger, financial statements. Sometimes if those things aren't available, we're going to look at a tax return or a bank statement or check stubs, but we're not performing a deep dive on those things. We're not going to go into an incredible amount of detail and make sure that, this number over here matches this number over here. We're looking for very specific things out of those records. So, in my experience, the biggest thing that a policyholder can do is to perform an evaluation of their own books. It's amazing to me how many times our auditors go in somewhere and you're handed a box of records and they wish you good luck. And you're really leaving a whole lot up to the auditor's judgment on things. And one of the biggest issues we run into is disagreements, the insured's disagreements with the audit results after the fact. And once we complete the audit, it goes to the carrier. They either bill the additional premium or return premium. And at that point, if there's a challenge to those figures, they then have to go through their insurance agent. They file a formal dispute. They have to produce records to substantiate that dispute. So now we've pulled all these additional people in and created a whole bunch of additional costs that had they done some pre-work and been able to compare the figures that the auditor came up with what they had in their own records, that can be dealt with right at that particular point. So certainly there are times where the auditor's at fault for transposing a number or misclassifying an employee, but there's a way to avoid that negative result with some advanced preparation on the part of the policyholder. And most insurance carriers do require our auditors to conduct an exit interview, which is to go through the final audited figures before we leave there. And, that's the point where if the insured feels like there's some kind of discrepancy, you deal with it then. And that can definitely save a whole lot of that hidden cost and time and get it resolved a little quicker.
Now, I know fraud has become a big issue in the insurance industry in recent years. When we come back from a break, I want to discuss how premium audits help to combat or prevent fraud for workers' comp. Currently talking to Brian Thornton, president of ISG, and learn more about this over at isg-se.com. You're listening to That Business Show. Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. If you've been following That Business Show on Facebook and Twitter, you may have noticed the quality of some of our images. That's because one of our sponsors is pro photographer Rick Taseda, a member of the Professional Photographers of America. You can view his extensive work by going to his website at ricktaseda.com or call him for an appointment to chat about your photography needs at 813-641-4757. That's 813-641-4757. Rick Taseda Visuals. Call him for your next event or project. In an age when the good and the better vie for attention, it is the best that stands out. The best of Tampa Bay from Proudly Florida is the love story for the city of Tampa, celebrating success, sharing achievements, a tribute to enterprise and community spirit. Let Proudly Florida showcase your business to your city, your nation, and the world. For more information, email info@proudlyflorida.com and be sure to visit proudlyflorida.com.
Have you ever tried to buy a home for your family only to find out that you don't qualify for a mortgage loan? You thought that after 20 years as a customer of your bank, they would help you when you needed it the most, right? Unfortunately, the banks of today are not the banks of our parents and grandparents, and our relationships with them just don't matter anymore. My name is Frank Cotto, and I'm the president of the Lincoln Lending Group. We all may need a bank, but we also need a Frank, and that's what I'm here to do for you today. Lincoln Lending Group will waive all of your lending fees, which include your mortgage, application fee, your underwriting fee, processing fees, and any bank points. Just call 813-MORTGAGE. You drop the E, and we'll drop the fee.
Teresa Turner is a certified public accountant and the founder of Tax Happens, a boutique-style CPA firm providing small businesses and individuals with hands-on, personalized tax and accounting services. Although we would love to tell you how happy their clients are, we would like you to see for yourself. Tax Happens has 21 Google reviews and a 4.8-star Google rating, 17 Yelp reviews and a 5-star Yelp rating, 38 Facebook reviews and a 4.9-star Facebook rating. What sets Tax Happens apart is number 1, upfront pricing, 2, clear deadlines, 3, personally available year-round, and number 4, a willingness to empower clients to do as much or as little as they desire. Visit taxhappens.com for more information.
Savvy business owners utilize technology to connect with customers, communicate among teams, and collaborate with partners. Even with advances in technology, you all know it's not infallible. Where do you turn when your technology starts working against you? Who do you depend on to keep your team productive? Don't wait until your technology fails you. Get ahead of the crisis and contact the professionals at Alpha Computing Solutions so they can show you how to keep your technology running smoothly. Visit them online at www.alphacomputing.com.
Did you know the biggest challenge business leaders face today is creating an engaged and productive workforce culture? Bill Meyer Ham Consulting wants to help you solve this challenge. They will help you transform your workforce culture to produce amazing business results. Call Bill Meyer Ham Consulting at 941-201-4650 today or visit BillMeyerHam.com. That's BillMeyerHam.com. Have a conversation. What's up, business rock stars? Are you ready to bring out the CEO in you? Join Julianne Nichols, CEO of Focus on You Strategy, every other Friday on That Business Show. She'll be talking with other chief entrepreneurial officers about how they grew their businesses. Remember, you could join the conversation at Focus on You Strategies Focus Fridays Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. That's facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. Be the CEO of you.
Crash investigation continues on northbound US 19 in Pasco County. This one at State Road 52. All northbound lanes blocked here. Southbound, though, is getting by this situation. Slow traffic on westbound I-4 from 301 over towards 50th Street. Then on the brakes again from Selma Connector to 275. Crash on westbound State Road 54 at Morris Bridge Road. One lane blocked here. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson Uter, Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line, 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by UFit Health Clubs.
This month, you only need $1 to join UFit Health Clubs. A huge selection of equipment and machines, knowledgeable personal trainers, all for only $1 down. So grab those coins from your cup holder and head to UFit today. Offer ends 9/27. Other restrictions may apply. See Jim for details.
Today, a mix of sun and clouds with a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, high 90. Tonight, partly cloudy and muggy, low 77. Tomorrow, a 40% rain chance, high 89.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
And welcome back to the program, everybody. You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Talking to Brian Thornton, president of ISG, and you can learn more about this at isg-se.com. Now, Brian, I know fraud has become a big issue in the insurance industry in recent years, especially in Florida. Do premium audits help to combat or prevent fraud for workers' comp?
Well, they can. I mean, certainly fraud is a big issue. In our segment of the industry, there's two main types of fraud. You've got the one you can see, which is the claims fraud, and that's somebody claiming to be injured, but they're out either rock climbing or lugging around big, heavy, bags of dog food or skydiving, something like that. So you can see it. Ours, the one we deal with primarily is premium fraud. Which is not quite as visible, but in my opinion is equally as prevalent and harder to identify. So that deals with policyholders that omit information or materially misrepresent something that would impact their premium. So, for example, an insured might misrepresent the job duties of an employee in an effort to have their payroll classified to a lower rated code, reduce the premium they pay as a result. Or, potentially you would have a construction company utilizing uninsured subcontract labor, which we would normally include in the premium base, and hiding that labor in an account in the general ledger that the auditor may not normally review, again, in an effort to avoid paying premiums on that exposure. And that's kind of the area where premium audit can play a role. We can take the information we're presented with and we can look at it, from a distance and say, okay, does this make sense? Do we have enough exposure here against the revenue that's being reported, and does that make sense? So we do work closely with several SIU or Special Investigation Unit departments within the insurance carriers to try and help determine whether or not fraud is present in cases where
it's got to be tough for you. I mean, it's one thing to deal with the staff member who's injured. You can get a private eye on him and see him out there doing something. But if it's the employer who's just fudging the books a little bit, plus some of that's subjective too. How does subjectivity play into this?
It is. I mean, it really, the difficulty comes in if somebody is willing and able to commit fraud. That's a tough thing sometimes to overcome. Even as an auditor, there are people that carry two sets of books. Or they just decline to provide you with some of the stuff that you've asked for, knowing that could lead to other questions.
Are there really business owners out there with two sets of books? That is really
there are.
It's amazing me what people do and stuff. I'm just so honest and stuff. It works against me sometimes. I think when I up against competition who has two sets of books, how am I going to compete with that person?
Well, and that's one of the things. So I'll give you the biggest issue in Florida right now is what's called the check cashing scheme. And so in the construction industry, it gets really, really complicated. But essentially what happens is an individual is paid a fee, call it $5,000, to start up a company and go out and get a policy, workers' comp policy. And for that policy, they report minimal, if any, exposure to keep the premium low. And they take that certificate of insurance that they get from that policy, and they will rent it out to people that do not have coverage. So the check payments completed on work get made out to the person that owns the certificate, who then takes that check and they go to a check cashing establishment and they cash that check. The money then goes to the contractor that rented the certificate, who then turns around and pays his people in cash. So, none of that money hits anybody's books.
Right.
None of it hits anybody's books. So that's really, really difficult to keep track of.
And when you identify those types of situations, is that punishable by a criminal record?
Oh, it's a felony.
That's a felony,
It's
right
a
there.
felony.
Okay.
So there's actually been a couple of arrests made in the last couple of months by the Florida Division of Fraud, where policies had reported between $40,000 and $100,000 worth of exposure. That's what they paid their premium based on.
Right.
And to date, the checks cashed that they have been able to uncover were in the neighborhood of $10 to $12 million.
Wow.
So that's taken it to the extreme.
Wow.
And I wouldn't say that that's the typical scenario, but it's not far off. I mean, you're talking about very low reported exposure and very high actual exposure. And so, when people, take a step back and they say, well, it's the insurance company that's really the victim here. The reality is we get a lot of complaints from policyholders that tell us, hey, the guy down the street's using cash labor. I know he's not reporting. I know he's not paying premium on it. How am I supposed to be competitive in a bid
That's
process?
what I was saying. I was like,
Right.
how can the honest man compete?
So really, the victim, yes, is the insurance carrier to an extent. They're the ones that are due the money, but the people that are trying to be a legitimate business out there are also ones that are probably hurt even more from a financial standpoint because they can't compete with those bids.
Yeah.
So you hope that the people that are putting them through the bid process are intelligent enough to know that, hey, that's just too low to make sense. So
now 2017 will mark your 10th year in business. Where does ISG go from here?
Well, I think the first 9 years has really kind of laid the foundation for our continued growth in the Southeast region and beyond. And we, to date, have been a relatively small regional business, comparatively speaking, and we would like to continue to grow our footprint in the Southeast and become a much larger regional business. And so that's kind of our focus.
All right. And your clients, obviously big insurance companies. Real quick, what makes a good client for you? Who can somebody listening put you in touch with? Who are you looking to get in touch with?
Well, we're looking for the insurance carriers that write either workers' comp or general liability policies, and they handle their own audits there, and ones that see a value in this process.
Okay.
We've had customers in the past that do the audits because the state says they have to. For us, we're looking to partner with companies that really see the value and can really kind of put us to work for them and for their policyholders to make sure that we're keeping everybody honest.
All right. Brian Thornton, president of ISG. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for having me.
And again, ISG is an insurance premium audit firm, and you can learn more about them over at isg-se.com. And you guys
I threw up the wrong image. That's Jeffrey Combs. But
try to get his lookalike up there before we close out. You got 10 seconds. So you got it or no?
Yep, it's gone.
All right. Well, we'll revisit that at a later date. So also thank you to Larry Harbolt and in the 8 o'clock segment. And if you missed the show, you can find it over at tampabayradio.com. You've been listening to That Business Show. Jamie Meloni, your business becomes show business.